Welcome into our tiny reading. I am T from Tiny Divinations, coming in with a message about overwhelm. So pick the pile or piles that you are drawn to, and I will see you in your reading. Welcome in pile one. Let's get into your cards. So the first card that you have is Fertility Reverse. So, the first thing I'll say about why you feel overwhelmed is it seems as though there's an issue with feeling like things are growing, feeling like things are manifesting the way that you want them to, feeling like the things that you're putting your energy into are actually coming to fruition, are giving back to you, are yielding the results that you want them to. For some people, this may literally be dealing with fertility issues or issues with your womb space. So that's a little bit of what I get from this first card. Let's pull a few more cards and see a little bit more about why you're feeling overwhelmed right now. Okay. You can also see in the fertility card, she has this tree kind of growing out of her head, and so it just feels like I said, it feels like things aren't growing in the way that you want them to. Also, within the heart space right here, where you have the glowing green, it may be things not growing in terms of a relationship, whether that's a romantic relationship or whether that's like a partnership that you thought would have, like I said, yield more results, or there'd be more of a connection, or there'd be like more concrete things happening in the situation by now. So let's pull some more cards and see. Okay. Okay. So we have harmony reverse, accelerated motion reverse, temptation, awareness reverse, heart chakra. So, like I said, we have the harmony card and the heart chakra card. And so there's definitely people who are feeling like part of the overwhelm is coming from the relationship, right? Like things not, like I said, growing in the way that you want them to, things not being harmonious, you not seeing eye to eye, not feeling like it used to, not being in partnership, not communicating and expressing love or partnership or care in the ways that you would like to see it or in the ways that it used to be shown. So there's stagnation in this, right? And I only separated these because of the light. I was trying to make it a little bit better because of the ring light. But then you have accelerated motion. So again, like I said, there's stagnancy. There's things that are stuck. It's not growing. It's not flourishing. We're not moving in kind. We're not moving together. You then also have temptation and the awareness card. So they're outside of a relationship, right? It feels like part of the overwhelm also is that you may be doing too much. Like part of the reason why things aren't growing is because you may have too many hands and too many pots. It may be really tempting to want to do so many things or do a lot of things, but then that like takes away from your energy or from like being able to do things in the smartest way, or have like the best ideas or something like that. And so it's like part of the overwhelm is because I'm like saying yes to too many things and being pulled in too many different directions, right? Another part of this feels like part of the reason you're overwhelmed is because like your habits are counter to what you want to do. Okay. So for example, I'm currently watching Industry on HBO Max, and they do a lot of drugs. Okay, they're in finance during the day, and they in the bathroom stalls at night. Okay, and they doing a lot, and sometimes all of them drugs don't mix with mornings and meetings and shit they got to do, and they be showing up to work looking crazy. Okay, and so like that is what I mean when and I don't mean literally that, but that like that's that's the idea of like what I mean when I say what you want to do and what you want to do are not lining up, right? And it feels like either you're not consciously aware that this is what is part of what's stopping things from growing or part of what's making you feel overwhelmed, or that you're ignoring you know it, you see it, but you're like kind of ignoring that that's what it is, you know? So these are some of the things that I'm getting from these cards in terms of why you're feeling overwhelmed. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, deception and envy reverse, and then triumph and success on the bottom. Show you these because of the damn light. Okay. This to me looks like imposter syndrome. So another part of the reason why you're overwhelmed may be because you are feeling like you can't do it. Like things aren't growing because of you, or that you can't make things happen, or that like you did something wrong. It feels like you're like feeding yourself negative thoughts or negative talk. And this is adding to how you're feeling with all of these other things, right? You're like putting onus on you. You're putting everything on you in a way, or you're like doubting who you are, doubting your skills, or yeah, doubting your skills, doubting your power, doubting your abilities. So this feels like why we're feeling overwhelmed, pile one. Let's get into how this overwhelm is affecting you emotionally, mentally, and physically. Okay. So the card that you have first for how this is affecting you mentally, physically, emotionally is shame. And this card was actually under your first card when you picked the first pile. So I can't believe I did that. Shame. A little sad face. Okay. So part of why I feel like we're feeling shame is because, like I said, you feel like things aren't growing. You feel like part of the reason things aren't growing is you. You feel like there's something that you did to either stop things or something that you should have done that that you didn't do, or that you made some kind of mistake, or that you should have made this choice or that choice to have made things move. Like, again, putting the onus on you, putting the um, stagnation on you. And part of the stagnation is just energy of the month, right? If you listen to our monthly collective reading, there's two parts. In the first part, we talk about this energy of things not really moving this month, right? And we talk about things in terms of us wanting things to move, us having like this fire under our ass, but the energy of the month kind of having things stalled. And there is growth, and we talk about that, but like that's part of this energy in general. So even outside of your own personal things that you have going on, there's this energy of things needing to grow or coast or sit for a second. So the questions that we have on the shame card are: what have you done to feel so bad? What do you wish you had done differently? What can you learn from this? And so I really want you to think about this, because I feel like if you think about the first question, what have you done to feel so bad? There are a lot of people who are watching this that aren't really going to come up with something. Like, you're going to come up with something, but if you really sit with it, you realize that that's not a you thing. You didn't do anything, right? But that you may be putting the onus on you if you really, really sit with it. Okay. Affirmation: mistakes help us grow on our spiritual paths. I live in peace, harmony, and acceptance of myself and others. Let this new day begin. Okay. And let this new day begin because, like I said before, and we talk about in the monthly reading, there is growth. You aren't stuck. There is shit moving, even if you can't see it happening. Okay. And if you've done something, even if you did make a mistake, we are human. We make mistakes. Okay. They don't define you. They are lessons for you to learn from and for you to be able to build off of. Okay. But if you allow them to define you, and if you sit in your mistakes, then you will allow yourself to be stuck. Then you will be playing this endless loop in your head, and that will then affect how you move forward, or you don't, you know? So let's pull some more cards in terms of how your overwhelm is affecting you emotionally. Okay. So we have confident. I am who I am, comfortable in my own skin. We have annoyed, not again. And then we have lonely. I feel so alone. Okay. So I'm gonna go to annoyed next, right? In terms of annoyed, I feel like you feel annoyed for people, certain people. It feels like this is happening again. I'm in the same spot. I made the same mistake. I'm not learning the lesson. This person did this to me again, or this situation happened again with different people, but the same outcome. Like there's something about that, but the shame that brings in the annoyance, right? It's like annoyed with myself, annoyed with the situation, annoyed with where I am, or annoyed with other people. And like this again, but like there's an aspect of this happening again, or being in the same place, or something cyclical about it. Okay. Then you have the confidence card. And for me, because we're asking about how does the overwhelm affect you, again, it makes you um, unconfident, you know? We talked about that in the first cards, in terms of why you're feeling overwhelmed. And this is just a symptom, right? Like this all, again, just feels like kind of a cycle. And you feeling the shame, you feeling like nothing's happening, you feeling stuck makes you feel less than, which then doesn't allow you to take in the lesson, which then allows this kind of situation or this kind of outcome to kind of happen again, and it goes back and forth. So then we have lonely. I feel so alone. And so I feel like when you're feeling these ways, when you're not feeling confident, when you're feeling a lack of pride, and you're feeling shameful about something, or you feel like you don't have, or things aren't moving for you, you kind of isolate. We kind of pull back. We want to be by ourselves. We don't want to see um, you know what other people are doing. In some cases we don't want to talk about what we're not doing or what's happening with us. We may not have what we want to have to be around people or to go out and to do things, and so you kind of just retreat. You kind of just like move and stick to yourself. But in this space and in this place, you kind of need other people to build you up, especially for those of us that can't do it ourselves, right? You need that community to help you in this time know who the fuck you are, to remind you and to help you find the lessons and why these things are happening, so that you can move past this, so that you don't have to feel this way, right? And also so that you know that you're not alone, because you're not alone. Okay, that there are people that are willing to help you, that are willing to talk you through, that are willing to just listen, whatever it is you need. So let me get some cards and see the health part of how overwhelm is affecting you. Okay, let me preface by saying I am not a medical doctor. If you resonate with anything that we talk about in this and you feel like you need to, please consult a medical professional. Okay? All right. Let's pull some cards about how your overwhelm is affecting you physically. And I'm using Mudra Oracle cards. I don't use the mudras on these cards because they're not always right, but I do like them for health readings. Okay, so the first card we have is Shangvartra Mudra, assists with intuition, truth, communication, benefits, quiets the mind, brings breath awareness inward, opens clear communication, and supports deep listening, supports opening the senses. Then you have Jala Mudra, fluidity, nourishment, balance, benefits, aids adaptability in the body and mind, enhances abdominal breathing, assists in lubricating the joints, cultivates emotional balance and support, harmonizes change. Then Karuna Mudra assists with compassion, joy, and harmony, relieves allergies and nasal congestion, assists immune system, opens and directs breath to head and sinuses. And then the last card you have is water element. Yoga poses, pigeon pose, triangle, Bada Konasana, taste, sense, energy center, sacral chakra, symbols, ocean, waterfall, half moon, swan, crocodile, dolphin. It rules the hips, sacrum, reproductive, urinary, and lymphatic systems. Qualities, flowing, adaptability, fluid, receptive, cooling. Okay, I'm gonna start with the Karuna Mudra, relieves allergies and nasal congestion. As soon as I started pulling these cards, my nose started itching, like itching, bitch. Okay, so one of the ways that your overwhelm is affecting you right now, excuse me, is through your allergies. Like it feels like people's allergies are acting up, or you feel like you might have a cold, or your nose is itchy, or your eyes are itchy. And part of the reason you're having an allergic reaction to something, like you may have eczema and you may be having a flare up right now, or you may have hives recently, or something like that. And this is actually coming from your stress. It's coming from your overwhelm. Like it's affecting your sinuses, it's affecting your head. It's like you may be giving yourself headaches because of this. And like this is real because again, my nose, and it's still, my nose is so itchy right now. One scratch my nose, and I was not, my nose was fine. Like my nose was not itchy. I was totally fine before I started pulling these cards. Okay. Then you have a couple of cards that talk about fluidity and moving through and change and things like that, right? So aids in adaptability in the body and mind, enhances abdominal breathing, assists in lubricating the joints, harmonizes change. Okay. Then you had the water card that talks about flowing, adaptability, receptivity, and cooling. So there's something in here that's not allowing you to be adaptable, right? So part of how your overwhelm is affecting you is it's like not allowing you to make decisions or choices. It may, some people may have be feeling like debilitated when they have to do something, or when they have too much going on. It may just like stop you in your tracks. You may just kind of freeze up and not know what to do, or you may just get overwhelmed and pick the first thing, the first option, which may not be the best option, but you just don't have like the capacity to kind of move through or figure it out. You know what I mean? So that may be the part of how it's affecting you physically and mentally. You then had lubricating the joints, and like we talked about, the flexibility and the flow. So there may be parts of you that is feeling stiff, like literally physically stiff, like your back may hurt, or your joints may feel stiff, or when you go to get up, you're like, your legs asleep, or your feet are asleep, or like, like there's like, it just feels like you need to stretch. Like there's parts of you that need to just like come apart in a way because you've been so tight. Like the overwhelm has kept your body really tight and like closed up. You know what I mean? And you're feeling it in your body, in your joints and your legs and your back and your spine area. Like it's like, um you then have over here where it talks about communication and deep listening. And then we have support and balance. When we talked about for the people who are dealing with relationship issues, and that's part of where the overwhelm comes from. Part of what's happening is it's causing you not to listen. It's causing you to shut down and not want to talk. It's causing you to really come into situations and not listen to um, actually hear them out, but to like listen to respond. It's making you a little bit combative in a sense, right? And then it talks about intuitively, and so I feel like it is closing down your intuition, right? We had that awareness card before that was reversed, and so it's like not allowing you to see things clearly. It's not allowing you to accept the things that you see. It's not allowing you to hear, to get information from outside of you. And so that also affects the way that you communicate. It affects the way that you then move. It affects the way that you see things. So all of these things come into how your overwhelm is affecting you mentally and physically right now. Okay. Let's pull some cards about what you do about it. Okay, so I'm going to start with the self care oracle cards to see what would be best to help you move through and away from this overwhelm, to work through this overwhelm. Okay. Okay. So we have aromatherapy, alone time, chanting, hydrate, make an altar, and music. Okay, so there's part of this energy that's meant to take you out of your head, out of the space that you're in, right? So you have aromatherapy, you have chanting, you have make an altar, and you have make music. Excuse me, you have music, but I said make music. So if you make music or you've been thinking about it, make music, okay? Because all of these things are meant to like bring you back in your body, out of your mind into your body, right? Or out of overthinking into the present, right? Aromatherapy does that through scents and bringing you to a certain place with scents. Number one, bringing you to the present because you're smelling what is actually happening, right? Which can then bring you to pleasant memories. It can also enhance your feelings or emotions depending on the scent. And so that helps you to, like I said, bring you back to self, bring you back to alignment, bring you back in when you're kind of all over the place, when you're feeling scattered, when you're feeling like things are getting to be too much. It just kind of like brings you back in so that you're able to make decisions from where you actually are, right? Chanting, similar thing, right? Chanting brings you into alignment, it brings you into your body, it uses the sound to like sometimes transport you to a different place, sometimes transport you to a meditative space. Um, Sometimes, like I said, similar to the aromatherapy, it brings endorphins. It affects your emotions. It affects your mood. The same thing with music, right? So all of these things to me are meant. Part of what you're supposed to do is this because it's meant to like take you out of where you've been or take you out of where you get the space that you get to when you're overwhelmed and brings you back to self, brings you back into alignment, brings you back into balance. Okay. Then you have make an altar. And like I said, in terms of part of these things are supposed to bring you out of where you are. I feel like the altar and being at an altar space is like a transformative thing, right? You sit at your altar, you do whatever you do there, and you kind of don't think about what's going on before or what comes after. You get very like transported in a sense to a space. You're like time is liminal, you know what I mean? And it feels like an experience, especially I would say when I'm at my altar, and depending on what kind of altar you have, it just feels like there is no time or time stops kind of thing, right? And so again, it's this way of bringing you into another place, bringing you back in some spaces. And also with the altar allows you to not make decisions by yourself. The altar allows you to bring in help. The altar allows you to kind of, like I said before, separate yourself from this world and be able to go into a different space, and be able to receive information that can help you move through this world, to understand what's going on in this space, to receive help and guidance, or help with getting unstuck or growth within this space. So if it's available to you, if it's something you know about, if it's something you're interested in, if it's something you already had, if it's something you have, okay, revisit altars, okay. Then we had hydrate, and because we had water and all of those other cards that we had, hydration makes sense. It feels like you may get overwhelmed and may not hydrate or be hydrating enough. So definitely drink more water, definitely take more cleansing baths and showers if that's something that you need and that's helpful to you, to clear off that energy, to get you back into a present space, to you know cool your thoughts and cleanse your head. If you do head washes, you may want to wash your head as well to like clear your thoughts. Add in specific herbs to add in the vibration that you would like your thoughts to be at instead of where they are, so that you can utilize the head wash that way. And being able to flow, you know what I mean? Water reminding you that you need to flow more, and that part of the overwhelm has to do with not flowing. Okay, so adding in the water element more in those different ways, and then you have alone time. So another way, with which also has all this water in the back. So another way that can help you move through the overwhelm is to have time by yourself, but not in a way that isolates you, but in a very intentional way. I'm taking this time alone to think. I'm taking this time alone to reset. I'm taking this time alone to move through some things or work through some things, or see what needs healing or whatever. You know what I mean? And so it's not just taking time by yourself, but intentionally um, using that time to help you work through, move through this overwhelm, help you form new habits, help you recognize what is and sit with that. You know what I mean? In terms of the things that we talked about before. So, yeah, this is what I'm getting in terms of what you can do to move through that overwhelm. I'm going to get one more card from the Motivation Manifesto to end our reading. Okay, so this is the Motivation Manifesto. We will get some words of wisdom from here. There is nobility, there is a nobility to those who do not let neediness or desperation compromise who they are. Okay. All right. Yeah, all right. That these cards are they hit, but they also hit, they be fighting. They come out swinging. So yeah, don't move from places of desperation or neediness. Don't move from I gotta do this. I can't do this because I gotta get the money. I gotta, gotta make shit happen. Gotta. Like, move from your heart space. Move from places of what feels good, what you have the capacity to do. Um, Recognize what is and what isn't, and don't believe that something else isn't coming or that you're going to be stuck forever, because you know there's more to what is than this right now. Okay, so let me know what y'all think about this reading. Thank you so much for reading with me. I appreciate y'all so much. If you'd like your own personal reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. If you haven't already, like I already talked about, listen to our monthly collective reading. There are two parts to the monthly collective reading. The first part is all about the energy of the month. There's our mini focuses about love and relationships and career. Then the second part of our collective reading is the spiritual and mental mini focus. We talk about the fairy tales for the month, and we go through a couple of other things for this month. So definitely listen to both parts of the podcast. Subscribe on Substack or on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow me at Tiny Divinations on TikTok and on Instagram. And again, I appreciate y'all. Let me know what you think about this reading. Thank you so much for reading with me. If you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in our next reading. Welcome in pile 2. Let's get into your card. So the card you chose is movements, choices, decisions. So it seems like part of why you're feeling overwhelmed is because you have a lot going on, right? There's a lot of moving pieces. There may be things that are coming at you at one time. There may be things that you actually have to choose. There's a whole bunch of doors here. There's money, there's rings, there's looks like earth, so like growth. There's clouds, so there's like a new path. So there's a lot of different ways that you could go with things. You may not even know where you want to go with things. You may not know what path to kind of take right now. That may be part of, or like the main reason why you are feeling kind of overwhelmed. It may be, like I said, because there are multiple different things that you can choose from. It may be because you just don't know what the fuck to choose. You know what I mean? Like you don't even know what's like. Does anybody remember those? Like there used to be like a game show. It was like behind door number one. Is that Price is Right? That might be Price is Right. Anyway, like where it's like behind these doors. It could be this. It could be that. It could Um, so it's like kind of that energy. And like I said, for other people, it's that you have the ability to make change, but you don't even know what options or choices you want to choose right now. So this is all part of why you feel the overwhelm. It may be all of these things happening at once. It may be having to choose one of these paths, but that seems like part of it. Let's pull a few more cards and see a little bit more about why you're feeling overwhelmed. Okay. Like that wanted to pop out. Okay, then we have sacrifice, prosperity begins, and firm foundation. Okay, so it feels like the overwhelm has to also do with something specifically financial, right? We have disruptions, we have firm foundations, we have prosperity begins, then you have the patience, and the person has the plant like growing out of their hand. And so it feels like people either aren't making enough, you can't make ends meet, or with the disruption in the firm foundation, it has something to do with um, your finances either being stopped or being disrupted, or the money not looking as the way that it was supposed to. um, or for some people it has to do with like your security, so like your home foundation. It could be the security of your job, it could be the security of your actual home and being able to afford your home, or being able to afford a new home if you're looking about if you're thinking about or looking into moving. That may be part of why you feel this. And because you don't know like if you're going to be able to afford it or where you should go. I'm pointing to the movements and choices card. And so there's like this like disruption or disconnect there. Like I said, for people it feels like things aren't growing fast enough. You don't have this is a patience card. I'm sorry, this freaking light. You don't have what you need as soon as you need it. You don't have the time to wait. Or things have been pushed back. You have to wait for your money. You have to wait for things to get right. You have to wait for like something to be released or something like that. Then we have the sacrifice card. And so the sacrifice card and the prosperity begins next to it made me feel like part of your overwhelm feels like it feels like you're always having to give up something to do something. Like so for example, if you aren't being able to make ends meet, it's like I have to rob Peter to pay Paul. I don't know if y'all know that. That's like an old ass saying. But basically, like you gotta, I can pay this bill, but I can't pay that one right now, or I gotta take this from this to be able to get food or to make shit happen or whatever. You know what I mean? Or it may be sacrificing your time in terms of like not having your own personal life, or having to get a second job, or having to work more hours, or having to sacrifice what you feel like you actually want for what you feel like you can afford, or what you are scared that you can only afford, or you know what I mean? Like um, things like that. So that's part of what I'm getting from these. And then, like I said, you have the prosperity begins at the end. Um, with the growth, again, we have a tree, we have like this nut at the bottom of the tree, and all of these roots, and these hands together and the fruit. And so it's like um, making shit come together, feeling comfortable, feeling secure, you know. And part of the overwhelm feels like you don't feel that way all the way. You don't feel all the way secure. You don't know if you're going to be secure. It feels like there's too many variables, or there are too many things up in the air for you, or there is like weight in the decisions that you have to make based on what you feel like you have, or what you feel like is coming in, or what you're scared about in terms of the financial aspect of it. So this is what it feels like your overwhelm is based in. Let's move and see how this is affecting you emotionally, physically, and mentally. So the first card that you have for how overwhelm is affecting you emotionally is wary, on guard. And this card was actually under the first card that you chose for pile 2. The questions that we have for wary: what has happened in the past to make you wary? How does being wary help you? What will it take for you to trust again? Okay. So part of how the overwhelm is affecting you is it's not allowing you to make these movements and decisions and choices. It's making you scared of your decisions. It's making you scared of what the outcome could be. It's making you question what you know, what you think. You know, when you've made a decision, sometimes then you then start to question that if that's the right decision. Like it just adds questions on questions. It makes you not um, sure or confident in what to do. Okay. It asks, what? How does being wary help you? Now, being wary, like it says, isn't necessarily um, negative, right? It's not a bad thing in itself, but being overly cautious, especially when you have to make a decision, movement, or choice, especially when you're being pushed to, or life is directing you to, or, you know, that's what's being called for, um, then it's a matter of how is this not helping you, right? So how is it helping you to help you understand that, like, questioning what you're doing isn't totally wrong, and reminding yourself in situations where it's actually been beneficial to you. But then how is it, you know, unhelpful to you in reminding yourself in situations where you might have waited too long, where you didn't make a decision that you wanted to based on questioning, and then you were upset with yourself after the fact. So like bring in both sides of the wary. Okay. um what will it take for you to trust again? And in this situation, in terms of money, in terms of things that are tangible, I feel like it's kind of hard for us sometimes to trust because it's not there. We can't see it. We can't hold it. We don't, you know, especially in terms of choices and decisions and having to go somewhere, you don't necessarily know what's on that road, or you don't know what's on the other side of that. Right. And so trusting within that, and the receipts of, like, you know, asking yourself the other questions is basically what I'm trying to get you to. With this, the receipts would be, what are situations that you had to make a move that you didn't know it was going to happen, and you trusted yourself, or you trusted where you were being guided, or, you know, you made a decision and it worked out for you. You know, that's what I would have you think about in terms of this. When was there a situation where it actually worked for you, where you were happy with what you decided, where you took that chance, or went on that path, and it led you to something greater, you know? Affirmation: I learn from experience to make the right choices for myself. I trust my intuition to guide me. All will be well. And it always has been, right? And even in the situations where it wasn't always good, right? You were able to get out of that situation. You were able to grow from that situation. You were able to find something better or something else, or find peace in these situations. So, like, remind yourself of that. Okay. Let's pull some more cards and see how else your overwhelm is affecting you emotionally and mentally. Okay. We have bored, confused, mindful, and relief. Starting with bored, nothing ever happens. Okay. So part of how this is affecting you is that you can't see the forest from the trees in a sense, right? The bored card and the aware in the present moment just makes me feel like you can't um recognize like what's to come, right? You're just sitting here and it's just like, this isn't, I don't have this, I don't have that, or this isn't working, or like it's very pessimistic for the now. It's not even, you can't, it's almost like you can't think past right now. You can't think of what could be coming. You can't be optimistic about the future, or I shouldn't say you can't be, that's wrong words. You aren't. In some cases you aren't optimistic about the future. You aren't able to think about the future. You aren't able to think past this present moment and what you don't have and what you lack, or what, you know, you have the decisions and choices you have to make and how hard it is or how overwhelming it is, or like the negative to the present, as opposed to being able to think about what comes from being able to make the decision, or what could positively come from the choice or the changes that are happening, right? And that's why I feel like you get this bored card as well as the mindful card, like aware of the present moment, but it's not in a mindful way. It's in a um like a woe is me way, or like a pessimistic way, or a way that just keeps you kind of like stuck in what is, like the lack of what is, as opposed to, or not, and I shouldn't just say lack, the the situation that is. So either the lack of what is, or the hardship of what is, or the like the difficulties. Really, it's more than lack, it's the difficulties of the present situation, as opposed to thinking about the conclusion or the positive outcome that could come from the situation. Okay. You then have the confused card, and I feel like the confused card comes in because you don't know what to do. For people that like need to choose a path, or um, choose an option or make a choice about something, especially when it comes to money. Like, it feels like people are scared. You may be scared to make the leap. You may be scared to make a certain decision because it may mean you have to take less money, but maybe you have more time, or you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that are a little bit out of your comfort zone, or because there are unknowables, you just are scared and don't know what to do. You don't want to make the wrong choice, right? You don't want to make the wrong decision, which is why you got wary in the beginning, right? So let's get a little bit into the questions for confused. What are you confused about? And I was quiet to give you a little bit of space to just like, girl, you know what I mean? If you listen to the podcast, then you already know. Like, have you communicated your thoughts to those involved? Okay. And if you're the only person involved in the situation of having to make the decision or the choice or the change, have you communicated your thoughts to your soundboard? Not people that are just going to tell you what to do, but people that are going to talk it out with you. What do you think it all means? And for me, what do you think it all means has to do with, what do you think it means in terms of why you have to make this decision or choice, or why this change is happening? You know, why you're being called to this particular thing? You know, what do you think that all means? Affirmation: I switch off from confusion and flow into relaxation. All will be clear in time. Okay, in time. It's not in the right now. Everything may not be fucking peaches and cream right now, but all will be well in time. Okay. Then the last card you have is relief. Phew, I can breathe again. And I feel like part of this is because you don't feel like you have relief. You don't feel like you have had relief. It may be a situation where you feel like shit has been tight for a while, or you may feel like shit has been tight your whole life, and you've always had to make do, or sacrifice certain things, or not have as much as you feel like you should, or that you actually should, or are able to make do in the ways that you want to, and so that may be part of where the overwhelm comes from in terms of emotionally and mentally, or how it affects you emotionally and mentally, I should say. Is that you feel like you can't get any relief, you feel like you can't get a break, you always have to be doing or working or thinking, or um, trying to make a move, or trying to get something done, or like I said before, having to rob Peter to pay Paul, and so it just feels like you can't breathe, you can't let your shoulders down, you can't relax in the way that the confused card affirmation wants you to. So let's read these. What are you relieved about? And since we're talking about the movements, choices, decisions, I'm going to say thinking about what you have to choose, what can you be relieved about? If you take yourself out of the now and actually like shop these, options in your head. So let's say, okay, I have to move, even let's say you don't want to because you can't, let's say, example, right? Let's say you have to move from somewhere because you can't afford it. Or let's say, better yet, let's say you are at a job, excuse me, where you're not making enough, and you need to decide, because now you have a couple of options, if you're going to leave this space and go somewhere where you can make more money. And maybe let's say in this position you've been here for a while, so you know this place, even though it doesn't make you enough, you know what you're doing, you know the people, you know how the shit works, right? What could you be relieved about if you chose to leave this job? So you could be relieved about making more money, you could be relieved about a change of scenery, you could be relieved about maybe not working with certain people that you work with. Like, that's what I mean in terms of answering this question. What could you be relieved about if you think about the options or decisions that you could make? Okay. What does this tell you about yourself? So if you think about the options and what you could be relieved about, and maybe you can't come up with that much, that may tell you that you're sitting too much in the negative, or you're not sitting enough in the positives of what could be, or you're not really exploring your options in a way that has you understand everything that is, able to come out of the situation. Okay. If you go through it and you find a whole bunch of things that you could be relieved about, or you really are into the things, then that could help you with making the decision or what you have to choose. Okay. Is there anything you could do differently next time? I think that's subject to what it is. And I think in this case, if it isn't something that's already happened, it's again something to help you, that could help you make the decision. Okay. Affirmation. Everything happens at the right moment. I am enriched by all experience and now let go and move on gratefully and gracefully. Okay. So that is how I feel like overwhelm is affecting you emotionally. I'm going to pull a few cards and get into the physical. So I'm going to preface this by saying I am not a medical doctor. If you are resonating with any of the medical things that we talk about in this segment, please consult a medical professional if you feel that it is. All right, let's do that again. Let's do that again. Okay, before we start this part of our reading, I just want to preface by saying I am not a medical professional. If you resonate with anything that we talk about in terms of the physical things that we talk about, please consult a medical professional. Okay? All right, let's get into the next part of our reading. So, physically, how is overwhelm affecting you? And I'm using Mudra Oracle cards, but I don't necessarily use them for the mudras because the mudras aren't always right, but I do like them for medical readings. So, starting with deepening. Okay, so we have Divukan Mudra, Pala Mudra, Shankhavatra Mudra, which we got in the first pile. We also have Prana Mudra and Vajra Mudra. Starting with Pala Mudra, assists tranquility, emotional ease, and calmness, releases stress and muscular contraction, supports reproductive, digestive, and eliminatory systems, reduces blood pressure, cultivates a sense of calm and wholeness, and the element is earth. Then the deepening mudra assists with relaxation, support, restoration, facilitates deep relaxation, supports eliminatory, urinary, and reproductive systems, slows and directs breath into the pelvis, helps for insomnia, and helps for improving memory. Earth. Then and I'm calling it the deepening because on the front it says deepening, and I don't want to mess up the name again. The Shankhavatra mudra assists with intuition, truth, communication, quiets the mind, brings breath awareness inward, opens clear communication, and supports deep listening, supports opening the senses. Element is space. Then the prana mudra assists vitality, uplifts, energizes, benefits, directs energy and awareness to heart, benefits cardiorespiratory system, awakens a fuller breath and more circulation in the lungs, chest, and thymus, energizes the body and focuses the mind. Then last you have Vajra Mudra, clarity, personal power, self-esteem. Benefits: supports digestion, aids assimilation of life experiences, enhances digestion and directs breath into the mid back and adrenal glands, energizes affects health, energizing affects health to cultivate passion, clarity, and personal power, and it's related to fire. So it talks about in the first two cards the eliminatory system, right? The reproductive, the digestive, and the eliminatory system. It talks about them in both of these first two cards. So it definitely may be something that you're dealing with. It also talks about digestive issues in the last card. So part of the way that overwhelm may be affecting you physically is through your digestive system, is through your reproductive organs, is through your reproductive system. You may be having like if you have a cycle, you may be having a bad cycle. You may be experiencing a lot of PMS symptoms or a lot of in between your cycle symptoms, whether it's like I said, PMS, or when you're ovulating, you may be having cramps or like breakthrough bleeding, or just like weird, feelings or just weird stuff going on, down there. Like I said, in terms of your digestive system and your eliminatory system, it may be that you're overwhelmed. The way that it's working on your body is that you're not, you know, passing things the way that you should be, right? It may be that you've been more gassy lately. It may be that you have more like heartburn lately, right? It's like your body kind of just not breaking down things the way that it should be. It's not getting rid of things the way that it should be. You may be experiencing more acne or like breakouts and that could be like on your face or on your body if your body is not processing things the way it's supposed to, if it's not getting things out the way it's supposed to. You're it's like it just feels like backup, you know what I mean? So it may be like you're not shitting the way you need to be, like let's just be clear, you know what I mean? Like, you're not shitting as much as you need to be. You're not the food is not moving through you the way that it needs to be, and it's causing other symptoms. So that could be part of how the overwhelm is showing up in your body as well. You also have in the first card where it talks about your blood pressure, and so it may be elevating your blood pressure, maybe causing your blood pressure to go up, which could be causing you other symptoms: dizziness, lightheadedness, headaches, things like that. So that's something to be mindful of. You also have the lower blood pressure here with in terms of doing this mudra, but so it talks about blood pressure again. So it just brings it up to me that part of how your body may be affected by your overwhelm is through your blood pressure. Okay. Then we have where it talks about your mind in the Shankhavatra mudra and the prana mudra, right? So we have quiets the mind, brings awareness inward, and then in the prana mudra energizes the body, focuses the mind. Okay. And so there's a way in which your overwhelm is affecting you because your thoughts aren't clear, your mind isn't clear. You may be just shutting down and not like able to sort the things out, or be able to look at things the way that you need to. It may be a situation where you, like I said, just have too many things going on, and it's like your brain is loud. There's too many thoughts, and so you're not able to really like hear yourself or hear what you actually want to do, because there's just like a lot of noise happening in your brain. So that's part of what comes up with these as well. And then these two cards also, to me, talked about an openness. And I didn't realize when I first, as I was pulling them, I thought to myself, there's an openness. So it brings like a breathing thing or like something to do with lungs. And then I just realized that this actually talks about awareness, excuse me, awakens a fuller breath and more circulation in the lungs. And I read that, but it didn't like register in my head. And so there is also something to do with like, it feels like you breathing. It feels like for some people, you may get overwhelmed and kind of like stop breathing. You're not breathing the way that you should be, or you may be somebody who hyperventilates, or like feels a tightness in your chest. You know what I mean? When you get overwhelmed. So that may be how it affects you physically as well. We then have where it talks about energy in a few of the cards. So, like energizing you, feeling awakened. And so, the physical response to that may be feeling lethargic or extra tired or run down. Your mind might be tired. Your body may be more physically tired. You may be sleeping a lot more than you normally sleep. So, these are all the ways that I feel like your overwhelm is showing up for you physically. And we just talked about emotionally. So let's move into what you can actually do about this. I'm going to start with some surrender cards. See, how can you make it through this overwhelm? How can you work through it? What can help you make decisions? So, surrender to your intuition, surrender frustration, surrender your addictions, surrender to play. See if there's anything else. Surrender the drama, surrender low self-esteem, surrender the idea you can fix someone. Okay, so start with surrender to your intuition. Tune into your inner voice. Be aware of any gut feelings, flashes, knowings, or aha moments that come through to guide you. Okay, especially if you have to make decisions on things, if you're um, there's changes happening, like, especially if things are real heavy on the first card, right? That means this pile is definitely for you. And so part of what can help you know what's coming, feel better about what's coming, make decisions is your intuition. Okay. Surrender frustration. Frustration doesn't open any doors. Okay. Sitting too much in the present of the lack of what is now doesn't open any doors. It doesn't help us know what's coming. It doesn't help us make any decisions. Okay. The key to resolving a dilemma or dissolving a block is to take a breath, center yourself, and regroup so you may approach the situation more calmly. Okay? More calmly so you can make better decisions, so you can hear your intuition. Okay? Surrender your addictions. Whether you're addicted to substances, food, people, sex, or overwork, take action to begin to heal the addictions and replace it with healthier alternatives. Okay. And so this may help in terms of when we're thinking about how the lesson plays in or what we're supposed to learn from this, especially in terms of situations of um, us feeling like we don't have enough or we can't make ends meet, or we need more, or things like that. If there's something that we're doing to hinder us from being able to have more, save more, do more, then that's something that we need to look into so that we can either be able to reallocate those funds or that time or that energy. Okay. Surrender to play. Take a break from overthinking a goal. Do something fun. Play is a time of recreation and rejuvenation. And you need that because you're overwhelmed, because you have a lot of things happening, because you have decisions to make. You need to take time out to not think about shit, to be able to just be, you know, and like be able to take that time to have fun, to be in a present space that's not negative, so that when you come out of it, you're lighter, you're better, you're clearer, you're more able to move. Okay. Surrender the drama. No matter how emotionally charged the situation, remain calm and don't contribute to the drama. Staying centered will help resolve the issue more quickly. And that was under the surrender the frustration. So those two to me go together. Okay. Like, take a breath, recognize what needs your energy and what doesn't. You already have a lot of shit going on, so you don't need to add to it, especially if this is not your shit, or especially if it's not something that you need to pick up. Okay. Surrender low self esteem. You deserve success, love, and abundance. Set an intention to identify and release any remnants of low self esteem. And so I feel like that comes in terms of helping you make this decision, because if you recognize who you are and what you deserve, and sit in what could be with the actual decisions and choices and how it could be helpful and beneficial to you, then that should be able to help you to make these choices. The last one you have is surrender the idea you can fix someone. It's time for a relationship to shift. It doesn't work to try to fix someone. Each person must be accountable for his or her own healing. And if in any way there is a situation where person or people are holding you back, or making you question your decision, or part of why you are not doing things for yourself, then that's something that needs to be fixed. That's something that needs to be recognized and sat with. Okay. Because you don't want to hinder the success and love and abundance that you deserve on account of somebody else, because you have your own path, you have your own things to do, you know. I'm going to see if there's anything else that we have with our self-care cards in terms of what you should do. I had some things fall. So the self-care that will help us in terms of overwhelm, the first thing we have is sex. Release. Okay. Surrender to play, to surrender to having fun, surrender to release, surrender to healthy, safe, consensual sex, surrender to having fun with someone or with yourself. Okay. You then have abundance planning. Okay. Abundance planning is budgeting, and it's also manifestation work. Okay. So it's looking at what you have and working with what you have. It's looking at what you want to bring in, and how you would manage that. It's also calling in the things you want by, like, you know, not being so realistic or rigid, but like dreaming. You know what I mean? Having um, a, a more, what am I trying to say? Like a more, whimsical outlook. So I want to go to Bali. I want to do the, things that like may not happen necessarily right now, but that are like future goals for you. Okay. And then the last surrender card you have is use your hands. Okay. So again, getting you out of your mind, getting you out of the changes or the decisions you have to make, and just getting you into what you're doing, into that present moment, into something that doesn't need, so much brain space or so much um, thought to it or planning. It's just doing, right? And that helps you to, again, bring you back to yourself, bring you back into alignment, help you come out of it and be able to make better decisions. Okay. So, this is what I'm getting in terms of what you can do about the overwhelm. We're going to end your reading with a motivation card from the Motivation Manifesto. Okay. So our last card will come from the Motivation Manifesto. And this deck can be a little biting. I told pile one. By refusing to bend on our values, we become unbreakable, solid and stable, courageous and certain men and women of valor, worth, and character. Let us build a life we are proud of. Okay. And we're just going to make it inclusive. Solid and stable, courageous and certain, people of valor, worth, and character. Let us build a life we are proud of. Okay. So that is your reading, pile two. Thank you so much for reading with me. I appreciate y'all so much. Please let me know how these messages resonate. If you'd like your own personal reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. If you're not already, subscribe to our podcast, Tiny Musings with T, on uh, Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Substack, to listen to our January collective. There are 2 episodes. The first one, we have the energy of the month and our mini focuses, where we talk about our money and our careers and love. In the second episode, we have the spiritual side. So we talk about the spiritual mini focus. We get into our fairy tales for the month and how they relate to our month and the things we have happen in this month. And we talk about a few other things. And if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe there. Follow me on TikTok and on Instagram at Tiny Divinations. And again, thank y'all so much for reading with me. I appreciate you so much. If you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in your next reading. Welcome in pile 3. Let's get into your cards. So the cards you have about why you're feeling overwhelmed are choose wisely and new beginnings. So there's definitely some kind of change happening in your life. Something has changed, something is changing, something has ended. You have in the new beginning card this door that's behind her that's closed, and she's standing on the world. And so it's like the world is her oyster. There's, all kinds of places that she could go or things that this person could do. And it feels like with that and the choose wisely card with all the fingers pointing to different things, or the fingers in different ways. I wonder if this, I think that spells out something in sign language. I've always wanted to learn ASL. This is just another reason to do so. But with these 2 cards together, like I said, part of the reason why you're feeling overwhelmed is because it feels like something has ended, and you're on a new path, like it's already been chosen for you. And it's overwhelming. Like change is overwhelming. Like this feels similar to pile 2, but it feels like the change has already happened, or it's already in motion. And part of why you're feeling overwhelmed is because of change in general. Like I was saying, these cards feel similar to pile 2, but it feels like in pile 3 that you're already on this new path, or that the door has already closed, or that you already know what is happening, or that the choice that you have to make is very specific. Like if there's a through line, you know what I mean? And you'll see if you were drawn to pile 2, also go watch pile 2. We talk about like movements and choices and decisions. But this feels like I said, a through line, like a very specific decision that also for some people is going to take you outside of your comfort zone. It's going to take you into something completely different, a new space, a new industry, a new world, new people, a new location, something like that. But that it's especially because this is a major arcana card, because it's a major change, a major shift in whatever's happening, and that is part of where the overwhelm comes from. So let's pull a few more cards and see what else is feeding your overwhelm. Okay. The cards we have are intuition, triumph, balance, sacral chakra reverse, and awareness. So, with all of these cards together, it feels like you're overwhelmed with whether this shit is going to work. Like, is it going to work out, right? Is it going to be successful for you? It feels like there is part of you that's overwhelmed with um, whether or not you, let's do that again. So the cards we have are into. All right, let's do that again because I can't talk. So the cards we have are intuition, triumph, balance, sacral chakra reverse, and awareness. So with all of these cards together, the overwhelm that you feel, it feels like is this shit gonna work, right? Is where I'm going gonna work for me? Is it gonna be successful? It feels like there's part of you that's overwhelmed by whether or not you can do it, whether or not you have enough skill, whether or not you know enough, whether or not you can like manage and make it work, whether or not you um have the ability. Like there's part of you that doesn't believe in yourself, right? You don't believe in your skill, but you also don't, there's like a waning faith in yourself, in terms of whether or not this can be successful for you, right? There's like a little bit of a pessimistic outlook. I can't talk, y'all, I'm sorry. Okay. And then you have the balance and the sacral chakra. And so there's part of this also that feels like, is this actually going to be better? Is it going to bring me ease? Is it going to be something that I like to do? Is it going to be fulfilling for me? Is it going to feel like the same old shit? Or is it actually going to be like, brighter skies or a better situation? So all of this to me adds into why you're feeling overwhelmed about the situation. And especially if it's something that's already happened and you're kind of, it feels like for some people, the if this was a real situation, she might be standing on the earth, but around her it feels like it's darkness, and in front of her is darkness. And so that is what leads you to have all of these feelings of overwhelm for all of these different reasons. But the core of it, it feels like, is this going to work? Am I going to be successful? Is this situation going to be successful? Is it going to work out for me? And that is part of why you're feeling, you know, very overwhelmed. So let's move into how this overwhelm is affecting you emotionally, physically, and mentally. So the first card we have for how is your overwhelm affecting you emotionally is anxious. And anxious was actually the card that you had under the card, the first card that you chose for pile three. So on edge, what's happening? Anxious. The questions we have for this card are, what are the specific thoughts you're having? Write them down. And I feel like it's really good to write them down because we talked about, the overwhelm of you feeling like you doubt yourself and you doubt your skills. And so being able to get all of that and seeing it on a piece of paper in some cases can help you, because you'll look at it and see, okay, maybe this is unfounded. Maybe this isn't really something that I should feel anxious about. Or, maybe this is something that I actually have more information on that I thought I did, so that I don't need to really feel as anxious as I do. Right. Or just seeing how specific things are overwhelming you, like specific aspects of things may weigh over other things. And so then you can like get to the heart of things that way. How much do you believe your thoughts? Is there evidence to support your beliefs? Okay, so that to me would say, like, how much does your fear overweigh actuality? Okay, or the information that you actually have, how does that outweigh what you think would happen? Are there other options or possibilities? Okay, if something's happened or if there is change that's happening, um, in situations where we are overwhelmed, we may not be able to see all of the things available to us, or all the pathways, or all of the options. So being able to write them down, being able to see how much weight we're given to certain things, being able to step back in a way may allow us to see all of the options and see things that we may not have seen before. Okay. Affirmation: I trust my inner voice to guide me towards peaceful thoughts. I welcome calm and harmony to dwell inside me. Okay. So that is our first card in terms of the emotions. Let's pull some more cards and see what else or how else your overwhelm is affecting you emotionally and mentally. Okay, so we have fear and joy, happy. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. So we have anxious, on edge, what's happening? Fear, something bad might happen. Joy, open your heart to joy and your life will change forever. Happy, I smile, I laugh, I bounce. Anger, grrr. And then sorry. I know what I did was wrong and I'm sorry. Okay. So these are all the feelings that, like I said, I feel like emotionally and mentally are a result of the overwhelm that you're feeling. Starting with anxious, we have the anxious next to the fear, which makes total sense to me, right? If you're anxious about what's going on, you fear because you don't know what's going to happen. You're not sure what's coming. You're not sure what's on the other side. You may not have asked for the change that's happened. So you're fearful of, sudden things happening again, or like, what's the saying? Like, for the other shoe to drop or something like that, right? That in turn has taken your joy, or taken your happiness. It's hasn't allowed you to feel comfortable. It doesn't allow you to feel positive about what's happening, right? Which then leads to anger. Okay. And the sorry to me feels more so like almost like guilt, or um, like a bit of like helplessness. So let's get into some of these questions with these cards. So starting with the fear. What are you afraid of? Is there evidence to support this? And that's similar to the question that we got in anxious. How much do you believe your thoughts? Is there evidence to support this? It's not even similar. It's almost, well, no, it's similar. Is there evidence to support your belief? So it's similar. Okay. So is there evidence to support your fear? Is there evidence to support your anxiety? Those are very similar. So I'd definitely answer both of those questions. How do your fears affect your life? Especially right now, especially with the change that's happening, especially with whatever situation you're going through. What would you like to do about it? Okay. Because just because something is out of your hands and just because change happened to you doesn't mean that you can't now take your power or take control of the situation in the ways that are available to you. Okay. Affirmation: I breathe in love, I breathe out fear. I enjoy life to the max. I am fearless. Okay. And to me, enjoying life to the max gets into the happiness and joy, but we'll get into that. We'll go back to those and get into the anger. Okay. Especially if you are in a situation, like I said, where the shit is outside of your hands, where there's something about what's happening that you cannot control, it makes total sense that you would feel angry. Okay. What is causing you to feel angry? How is your anger affecting you and those around you, especially as it relates to this? What could you do differently? And to me, that's not necessarily what could you have done differently, but what could you do differently now going forward? Okay. Are there other possible explanations? And to me, explanations for what happened, why it happened, what the lesson is, digging deeper, things like that. Affirmation: I am aware of the anger inside me. And I know that this time will pass. I detach from anger in a positive way. Okay. Then we have sorry. I know what I did was wrong and I'm sorry. How do you feel when you get things wrong? Do you communicate your thoughts and feelings? And I would say also to this, do you own your thoughts and feelings? Like when, something comes up inside of you, do you own that even if you don't want to feel that way? You know, or you don't want to think that way? What does your conscience tell you? Affirmation. I don't always get things right, but am willing to look at myself and learn. Okay, because that's all that these things are, is lessons. That's all that what happened is a lesson. And moving forward, if you can recognize that, if you can sit in some of these things and move through some of these things, then it will be more valuable to you in the end. Okay, then we have joy. What brings you joy? And especially in a situation where you're feeling, more pessimistic and more negative, it's especially important to remember what brings you joy. What are your beliefs on life in general? How does joy touch your life? Whether that's right now, whether that's how it has, whether that's how you'd like it to. Affirmation. I connect with all the beauty of the universe and bathe in its glory. I bring joy to my life with gratitude and love. Then we have joy. Ask yourself, what does happiness mean to you? When was the last time you felt truly happy? What did it feel like? What can you do to bring more happiness into your life? Affirmation. I choose happiness and hold love and joy in my heart. And again, we had that joy. Okay. So let's move into some of the physical things that may be happening because of your overwhelm. Okay, before we get into it, I want to preface this part of the reading by saying I am not a medical doctor. So if any part of this physical aspects of the reading resonate with you, definitely seek a medical professional. Okay. All right, let's get into the cards. So I am using Mudra Oracle cards, like I was telling the other two piles. I don't use them for the mudras. I mainly use them for the medical information on the back. Okay, so Vitam Mudra, Ishvara Mudra, Purna Hridaya Mudra. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. So we have Vita Mudra. Assists with inner cycles, fluidity, vital energy, supports reproductive and urinary health, directs breath to the sacrum, lower back, and pelvis, relaxes the lower back, activates the flow of subtle energy. Then Ishvara Mudra assists with clarity, senses, and inner peace, reduces sensory overload, and aids assimilation of life experiences, assists abdominal breathing, calms the nervous system, supports the urinary and eliminatory systems. And both of these deal with the water element. Okay. Pranach Hridaya Mudra. Assists with expansiveness, compassion, and self acceptance. Benefits: directs breath and awareness to chest, ribs, and back. Directs energy to the thymus gland to assist with immune system. Releases muscular tension from the shoulders and upper back center. Opens the spiritual heart. Then Pala Mudra assists with tranquility, emotional ease, and calmness. Benefits: releases stress and muscular contractions, supports reproductive, digestion, and digestive, and eliminatory systems, reduces blood pressure, cultivates a sense of calm and wholeness. And then the Vajra Mudra assists with clarity, personal power, and self esteem, supports digestion and aids assimilation of life's experiences, enhances digestion and directs breath into mid back and adrenal glands. Energizing effects help to cultivate passion, clarity, and personal power. There are a number of things that talk about the reproductive system, the urinary health, or your urinary health, I should say, and your digestion. And so that deals with um, release and detoxification. And so, one of the ways that your overwhelm may be affecting you physically is in terms of being able to release things and being able to digest things properly and just having things break down and release the way that they should, right? Um, like it makes me think of if you're holding on to something spiritually, like from the past situations, the way that in which you wish things could have been, what was, then the way that that's then affecting you physically is that things are being held in your body, right? They're not being released and circulated the way that they should be, right? The changes, the cycles that are supposed to happen, the inner cycles that they talked about aren't necessarily processing the way that they should be in some people's cases. Okay. Then they talked about reproductive health. And so dealing with our womb space, especially, because we got the sacral chakra in our cards about why we're feeling overwhelmed. The sacral chakra relates to our womb space. So there may be things in terms of our reproductive systems that we want to look into or that may be going on with us. You also have where they talk about assimilation in a number of these cards. And so, even within this card specifically, I feel like, was it this one? Oh no, Ishvara Mudra assists, or excuse me, aids assimilation of life's experiences, right? So, especially when we're going through changes, we are just, in some cases, kind of baffled by what's happened. We don't want to accept what's happened. We're not sitting with it in the ways we should. We're like rejecting the things that come with the change because we don't want to sit with the change. And so, that could make you, anxious and nervy or moody, or it have an adverse reaction on your body physically. It can make you more tired, it could make you more withdrawn, it can make you more um like tightened up, I feel like another one of the cards talked about muscular tension. And so, like I said, it could, part of that can have you just more tight in your body, in your shoulders, in your neck, in your back. And that may be why some people have more tension in their back. You may be feeling more tension in your shoulders. You may be feeling more tension in your neck. And so this is part of how that overwhelm is affecting you physically. I feel like there are also people who are not working out the way that they used to, or moving as much as you used to be, or as much as you would like to, or that you need to. Some people have like pent up energy in their body that you need to get out, that you need to release, and moving and stretching is part of that. So whether it's like cardio or yoga or strength or whatever it is that you do, you need to add that back in so that you can like work this energy and have a place for it to go. And because we got a number of things about the urinary system, and releasing and detoxing, make sure you're drinking enough water. You also have two cards that deal with the water element. So just make sure you're hydrating yourself, make sure you're drinking enough fluids, and that at least half of those fluids are water. Okay. So this is what I'm getting for how your overwhelm affects you physically. From here, let's move into what you can do to help. I'm going to start with the self care cards, and then I may move into some power to surrender. So, again, we're pulling on what you can do about this overwhelm that you feel, how we can help it. Okay. So we have oh, family, movement, energy work, and then look for fairies. And I am going to just pull a few power of the surrender cards. Is there anything else from here? I knew that was going to come out. Okay. Part of what you can do to help with the overwhelm that you're feeling is to reach out to family, to reach out to support. Family can look like your people who are blood related. It can look like the people that you've chosen, but people that support you, people that can help you, people that you can talk things out with, and that you feel comfortable and supported by, is part of what can help you to work through some of what you're feeling, to get support for some of what you're feeling, to be able to get out of your headspace, and to be able to work through this new phase or this new journey that you're on. You then have movement. And like I said before, with the physical, there's tightness in you, right? So there's part of you that needs to move to be able to get this energy out of you, to release, to be able to stretch, and to release your joints, you know what I mean? To release physically, to release emotionally and mentally and spiritually. So that's part of where the movement comes in. And like I said, that could look like yoga, that could look like dance, that could look like walking. That could look like when you have moments where you're feeling overwhelmed, where you kind of just like shake it out, you know what I mean? Or do whatever you find comfortable, or that is in your practice, or in your capacity at that space and time to do. You then have energy work. And energy work can look like a number of different things, but it's working on your energy field, you know, to work on your, like working on your inner, to work on the outward, to then be able to move outwardly in the best way, right? So energy work could look like Reiki, it could look like somatic therapy, it could look like meditation, it could look like sound healing, it could look like a number of different things. It could look like working on your chakras, or aligning your chakras, or activating your chakras. It could look like a number of different things. So looking into energy work, seeing what's available to you, what you already know, what you've already worked with, what you can find, what you can add into your practice, is definitely something that can help you move through the overwhelm that you're feeling. Then you have look for fairies, and look for fairies really is about being able to bring whimsy back into your days, back into your life, back into your perspective, right? And so, especially if we're on a path where we don't know where we're going, we don't know what's happening, look for light, look for brightness, look for little moments of happiness and joy, and things that look magical. Make things magical that aren't, you know, make your days more magical, make your um, situations and the time, make the journey more magical, so that you can start to bring more whimsy in, so that you can see more of the positive, so that you can actually recognize some of the things that are really happening that you can't see because you're in such a place of disarray, in a sense. Okay. Then with our surrenders, you have Surrender comparisons with other people. Keep your eyes trained on yourself. Focus on your own strengths, attractiveness, and power. Surrender your belief in scarcity. Okay. You don't know what's coming, but it doesn't have to be less. It doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be the worst. Okay. The universe is asking you to be open to the infinite nature of abundance. In this way, you can remove blocks in your life and succeed beyond your wildest dreams. And then the last card you have, which I knew was coming because of the fairies, surrender to the beauty of the natural world. Take a relaxing break and spend time in nature. Replenish yourself by feeling the beauty and the ecstasy there. Okay. So, this is what you can do about your overwhelm. We're going to end your reading with some motivation. Okay, so we're going to end our reading with some motivation from the Motivation Manifesto cards. Like I was telling the other two piles, these cards can be a lot sometimes, but the message is always very clear. So, okay. The white space of a free day seems unfathomable because we have become hypnotized by a false but compelling need to respond to all the needs of others. Okay. This journey, this change, this newness is an opportunity, right? It's white space. You get to draw whatever you want. You get to make whatever you want out of this canvas. So think of it that way, okay? And do with it what you will, not what others may want you to do. And I feel like some people feel like that wasn't enough, so I'm gonna give y'all another one because I feel like people are like, can I have another one? Any plunge into the unknown is reckless, but that's where the treasure lies. And I'm glad I could feel that y'all wanted another one because I love that. Okay. So thank you so much for reading with me today. I hope this makes sense. Please let me know how this reading resonates, what you think, how you're feeling. If you'd like your own personal reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. If you aren't already subscribed to the podcast, subscribe to Tiny Musings on Substack, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me at Tiny Divinations on TikTok and on Instagram. And if you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, thank you so much again. I appreciate y'all so much for reading with me. And I will see you in your next reading.